the current world forces people to become investors. So with Bitcoin, it unlocks that options that says that you don't have to invest. You just do what you love and save. They think, okay, Bitcoin is good. Bitcoin is going to, bring power back to the people. It's going to separate money from state. So this other coin is going to do that too. No, it's not. This other coin, it's more like investing in a startup. It's more like investing in a friend's project. It's so early.
Yeah. Hello everyone, and welcome to the first episode in English interview with Prim from Prim Invest. And as you can see, today is such a super special way, and we are not in the usual setup here. And we're actually here at the Citadel coffee shop with someone many of you probably know, the one and only อาจารย์ตั้มค่ะ
สวัสดีครับ
Okay, so for the interview today, it's going to be all in English. It's really a lovely coffee shop here, and the vibe here is so warm and comfy.
Totally in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
Too.
So before we jump into today's topic here, let me introduce him briefly. So Ajahn Tam is one of the most well-known voices in Thailand when it's come to Bitcoin and crypto education. And he is known not only for his deep knowledge about Bitcoin and blockchain, but also for the way that he would be able to break down complex ideas and into simple and practical insights that actually stick. So let's jump into it here. So one of the most common questions that we hear a lot that why should I even buy Bitcoin? Like, what makes it valuable? And even a lot of people believe in it to put the price go up. And so Ajahn Tam, in your view, why should people consider holding Bitcoin? Like, what's the core value and of BTC that people might be missing here?
Well, that's a bit of a tough question. I think the core value of Bitcoin is essentially that it is what we call sound money.
Yeah.
So normally when I talk about Bitcoin, I usually regress back to the history of money, to explaining how money actually works, because to really understand Bitcoin, you really need to understand money.
Yeah, with history.
Yeah. And it turns out that many people, like 99% of people, doesn't really understand how money works, doesn't really know how the money system works, doesn't even know if the money they have in their bank account is actually theirs, right? Or what it is.
Yeah.
So you start with that. You start questioning what is money. Then you go through all the rabbit holes. You start going into these historical reference about money in the ancient age, money as trading, and then you arrive at the present where we are using a system of fiat money. Under this fiat system, money that is declared money by law, there's a fundamental problem with money that we have today, and that is, it just loses value over time.
Yeah.
We learned in finance class that money loses value over time. We call that time value of money, and we take that for granted. We thought that is the truth of the universe, right? That money has to lose value over time. But then if you start looking back into the history of humankind, of trades, of all the advancement, you see that, money doesn't really have to lose value over time. There are periods where money actually gains value over time. There are periods where money holds value over time. And you start seeing that whenever money loses value over time, civilizations crumble.
Yeah.
So here we are in the present day, since 1971, where the world got off the gold standard. Money has been rapidly losing its value over time, right? To the point where if you compare the dollars today, it is 99% less valuable compared to gold than it was before 1971. And that's a lot of value that's been taken away from the money that people have been using as a saving mechanism. What this does essentially is that it strips people of the ability to save. And without the ability to save, you cannot grow. Right? Society cannot grow, people cannot grow. You can't grow your business, you can't grow your finance.
Yeah.
You can't work and save up and think that one day you're going to have a house, you're going to have a car, you're going to have a family. It just doesn't work that way, because every cent, every baht, every satang of money that you hold is losing value over time. Things are getting more expensive over time, right? So the world that we have today, which only started about 50 years ago, it's relatively new. We take it for granted. We think that's the truth. It's actually not the way of the world at all. Money is perverted. Money is broken. You know, we live in a world where money is broken. So how do we fix that, right? Bitcoin is actually a solution that was created to fix the problem, right? So you go back into the problem itself. The problem started when gold failed to function as money, as trade grows into sizes that gold cannot accommodate. We need to send gold across oceans, across continents, and that takes a lot of time. It costs a lot, right? So gold become inefficient as trade and global commerce grows.
Yes.
Right? We solved that problem by inventing a layer of money on top of gold, a system of bills of exchange, a system of bankings, a system of accounts where people debit and credit money from each other without actually sending the gold. It makes transaction a lot faster, but it also centralizes gold into a few entities, and that entities right now is almost all the gold on earth right now is either in London or in Fort Knox, right? So this centralization gives power to those holding all this gold to actually just print as much money as they can. Since 1971 that I mentioned, money has been created out from debt. The government debt all around the world has been growing exponentially over years. And how do we fix that? We go back to the root, the cause of the problem. Gold cannot be sent through wires. Gold cannot be teleported anywhere on Earth.
It kind of like needs a lot of power, needs a lot of things.
Yeah, gold is physical.
Yeah.
The downfall of gold, the only problem with gold is really good money, right? You can prove that it's real. You can slice it up into smaller pieces. You can bring them together. It's provable. There's a proof of work that goes into it. You know how much it costs to produce. But the problem with gold is that it's physical. So when you're doing trades, like say maybe you're in Thailand and you want to trade with someone in the US, you can't send gold over that long distance as fast as you can talk to them via messengers or chat apps. So we need a form of money that can be teleported across the world instantly, but also maintains the other functions of gold. We try that with fiat money. Fiat money can be teleported anywhere, but it loses the properties of gold. Right? Gold cannot be created out of thin air. Fiat can. It's created from debt, and you can just create debt from promises. Right? That's basically just air. Right? Gold cannot be centralized. Gold cannot be inflated, but fiat can. So what we essentially does is we try to fix a problem with fiat. We fail. Bitcoin go back to gold and try to upgrade the gold, so that now we have like a form of digital gold, a kind of gold that can be teleported anywhere on Earth instantly, but also protected by energy. You can't just create Bitcoin out of thin air. You have to expend enormous amount of energy to mine it, just like gold. And the more people mine it, the more energy you need, the more difficult it becomes. So that's how it protects itself from being inflated. It also protects itself from being centralized by keeping the whole system decentralized. The whole system of Bitcoin, the whole system of nodes and developers and users work together without having a central authority. There's no Bitcoin company. There's no Bitcoin organization, right? There's just Bitcoin as a protocol, and people just work within the rules of the protocol, following the rules without having any rulers. That's just like how natures work. That's just like how physics work, right? Gold has a certain set of rules that we have to follow because we live in the physical world, right? So Bitcoin is basically a set of rules that people can follow, and when they follow that, they get the benefit of having a monetary system where they can use it anywhere on earth. But so that's solving the problem of transporting gold. But by solving the problem in this fashion, what we essentially does is we bring back the ability to save, right? So now we have a form of money that people can use without having an intermediary, without having any third party involved in the transaction, and a form of money that cannot be debased, right? So it's cash, it's peer-to-peer, and it's protected against inflation. Now people can save. When people can save, you can start to accumulate capital. And when capital accumulates in any civilizations, that leads to more investment, it leads to growth, it leads to innovations. And that's basically what Bitcoin aims to do. So yeah, to answer your question, why should you hold Bitcoin? For the betterment of the world, I guess. That's the reason I'm interested in Bitcoin. Right? I want to see flying cars. Right?
Oh, oh my goodness! I didn't expect that question.
I think we are robbed of that future. You see the movie like Back to the Future. That's how people, remnants of people from the era of gold standard imagine world in the future would be.
Yeah.
But what happened is that in the 70s, we robbed ourselves of that future by creating a money that just inflates. So people people became more focused on short-term gains instead of long-term development. Right? So with the money that cannot be debased, I'm just hoping that the world can get back on track and people can start saving, and people would have more to live with without having to strive to make more all the time. It just lowers the time preference of people. But those are like basically more ideological, and I understand that a lot of people just coming into Bitcoin be like, really? Right? So the easiest part that I think would be the reason that anyone should hold Bitcoin is to maybe compare the past performance of Bitcoin against other assets. Now we have an asset that you can just hold and it grows exponentially,
yeah.
Right? The compound annual growth rate is about 70% per year. What asset in the world can beat that? For 16 years straight. That's the compound annual growth rate for Bitcoin, right? For 16 years straight. That's ups and downs, but that's the average compounded annual growth rate. So if you understand that, that will become your hurdle rate, right? That will become your benchmark against other investments. So even if you don't care about like prosperity of the humankind, if you don't care about having flying cars by 10 years.
I do care.
Yeah. You can still hold it for just number go up, and that may not be the reason, but it's compelling enough, I guess.
Yeah. So as we were talking about BTC and understand the evolution of money, so recently BTC just hit its new all-time high. So let's take a quick look back for just a little. So at the start of this year, it was around 93,000 US dollar, and then it's plummeted again during tariff that has been imposed. It was around like 76.
Small dip.
Yeah. 76,000 US dollar, and then right now it shot up to 123,000 US dollar, and that was a huge leap. So what has been kind of like driving this rally? What causing the price to skyrocket in this cycle?
Well, for this cycle, I think most people would agree that institutional adoptions, either from large companies or even governments, play quite a large role in the uptake of Bitcoin. Bitcoin has moved, I guess, from like a speculative asset, right? You have to understand that in the 16 years of Bitcoin, it has been growing constantly, right? It started as a toy project, right? As something that a few computer nerds would play with each other, right? That turns into, money for the dark web, and then it kind of evolves into a speculative platform that sprouted other speculative instruments along the path. But Right now, central banks are talking about Bitcoin. Governments are talking about Bitcoin, right? Companies, like billion-dollar companies, MicroStrategies, are doing everything they can in their power to accumulate Bitcoin. So what that does is, well, first it just creates like, it creates a talking point. It makes people get interested in Bitcoin again.
Yeah,
but
people more aware of it.
But more importantly, I think it just helps with the fundamental value of Bitcoin in terms of, as an investment asset. When people look at Bitcoin before, I've talked with people who are interested in the ideological part of Bitcoin, but they say that they can't actually invest in Bitcoin because, well, they still can't take the volatility. They still can't take the market size of Bitcoin, the market cap of Bitcoin just can't take their size, right? So now that we have bigger players in the space, what happens is that now if Bitcoin goes down, BlackRock goes down.
Yes.
Right? If Bitcoin goes down, MicroStrategy goes down. The reserve of the U.S. Treasuries goes down. So now we have more forces that would be against Bitcoin going down. That actually helps, pad Bitcoin as an asset for other investors. They would think of it as like less risky. And apart from that, I think also the deceleration of growth has something to do with it too. Because if you look at Bitcoin like maybe 7 years ago, 8 years ago, we are talking about 1,000% compounded annual growth rate, 200%, 250%. That's just way out of anyone's acceptable window of expectation, right? So if you are a fund manager, if you are managing funds for maybe a large corporate company, well, you might want to invest in this, but then you look at the numbers and you see it growing like 15,000% per year, and you think maybe is that a scam, right? Is that a Ponzi scheme? Is that natural? You still hesitant, right? So now that it came down to about 50, it's kind of in the ballpark average of other investment. Yeah, and if you look at it objectively, it's a lot safer too, right? You have, as I said, you have a lot of large players holding it right now. The liquidity is amazing. You can sell, you can use, you can do anything with it. It's not like real estate where you have to spend years trying to sell a piece of real estate, right? I think the liquidity, as practical liquidity, is even higher than gold in some places, because gold are like more segregated into different markets.
Yeah.
Right. So fundamentally speaking, it is more sound, easier to invest, and that just leads to more investments coming from companies, large, small, medium-sized companies, investing in Bitcoin, and that's what we see on the on-chain data. That's what we see on the exchanges data. Right, we see companies investing in Bitcoin, and that just changes the narrative. I think the past 16 years of Bitcoin has been the cycle of the retail investors. Now that's over. I think that's like, this is the start of a new age where companies and institutions are coming in, and that will probably radically change the behavior of Bitcoin in the future too. One would start to question if the 4-year cycle would still be there, right? Because the way these companies, the way these funds invest, they don't just go buy and YOLO. They don't just hold on for dear life, right? They do allocations. Right? They might want to hold like 2-5% of their asset in Bitcoin. If it goes down, then they'll probably buy more. If it goes up, they'll sell some, right? So it's gonna pad the volatility of price of Bitcoin against the dollar a bit, and that's just gonna make it easier to understand, easier to invest.
And as you were talking about BTC cycle, so we know that BTC or Bitcoin tends to move in cycles here. We saw like a big crashes in 2018 and 2022. So do you think right now we are nearing to the end of this current cycle?
It depends on where you look, right? So if you look at the time span of a cycle, and you take the average time each bull cycle takes in the past, we're still about halfway. A bit more. We can go a bit more. If you look at like the target level, the target price, I think there's still a bit more upside. Just fundamentally speaking, I'm looking at the market cap of Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Right now it's going for around 2 trillion, 2.2, 2.3 trillion US dollars, right? As an investment asset, as a store value asset that companies are investing in, I'm seeing Bitcoin taking the market. I'm seeing Bitcoin taking the market share out from gold at least, right? So gold is going around for 20 trillion right now. Bitcoin's only 1/10 of gold. I think there's room to grow in that space as Bitcoin becomes more institutionalized and it gets into the portfolios of all these funds and asset managers.
Yeah.
So, is it nearing the end? Actually, I have to say that the first answer would be I don't know. I have no idea, but I think we do have a bit more to go, and how big that bit is, I have no idea.
Okay, so and in your opinion here, what do you think can cause the cycle to end? Like typically, is it like a most profit taking, or too much speculation, or just something else?
I think for Bitcoin right now, it's a bit too big to just fall or like crash by something small like market crash or like instability in exchanges anymore, right? So I'm looking at the global macroeconomic scenes, right? And what we're seeing the dollars weakening, we see the yuan weakening. I think this would be the major factors in determining whether Bitcoin keeps going up against the dollar or whether it would stop, right? So the metrics I'm looking at the most is just how much money is being printed around the world.
Oh.
Yeah. So you look at, say, maybe the M2 of the US dollars, and you see that it's still being printed. The US economy is going into more debt, and they still have to finance those debt. They have to pay off the interest by printing more money. So it's guaranteed that the US will be printing more money in a few years. But what if they want to tighten it again? You see what happened the last time they did a QT, right? And Bitcoin falls about 80%. And that's what happened when the money printing stops. It also affects other assets. It affects gold, it affects real estate, it affects stocks, right? So these are the assets that people are using as store value, just precisely because you can't save money in money anymore, right? So people are using other assets as store value, and the factor that affects it the most is if the dollars get stronger, if they stop printing the dollar, and that's going to cause a large downfall of Bitcoin. But then again, that they can't stop printing the dollar, right? They might try stopping for a few years, and they've done that. They might be able to try to, curtail it down a bit here and there, but eventually they can't, right? And that's not just the dollars. We see the renminbi being printed, we see the euros being printed, we see the yen being printed. So all the fiat currencies in the world are being created at an exponential rate at this moment, right? So I guess that's where the cycle comes in. Right? We see a large increase in Bitcoin price, then we see a large drop. But even with a large drop, what I'm more focused in Bitcoin price than how high it goes is how low it goes, right? I've been in Bitcoin for quite a while. I've seen Bitcoin falling down to about $2. I've seen it fall down to $150. I've seen it falling down to $2,000. I've seen it falling down to $15,000. Where will it stop next, right? 40,000 maybe, 60,000, 80,000. It just keeps going up. The lows keeps going up, and that's just evidence of the money printing, because you can't stop the money printer. There's no way to stop the train.
Okay. So the thing is that as you are talking about the cycle, and if let's say this is a top of the cycle now, how much of the BTC can be plummeted in your opinion? And in the last cycle, we see that it dropped it over 70%. And could we see something like that again, in your opinion?
I absolutely have no idea, but I think, if I were to guess, it would be less. That's
is big.
mostly because how, these institutions are holding Bitcoin. So
Yeah.
if companies and asset managers are holding Bitcoin as percentage of their portfolios, if the price go down, they are obliged to buy more of it. So that's going to create more buying pressures, right? To cushion the fall. But that also works the other way too. Right? That's why I'm hesitant to say that it's going to 1 million or something, because if as Bitcoin rises, they are also obliged to sell some of their holding to rebalance their portfolio, right? I think this is what we are going to be seeing more of in the future as a large company comes in to hold Bitcoin, because they are bound by their policies, not by their greed, not by their fear, like retail investors. So large corrections that we see in the past might be a thing of the past. Might be.
Okay, and for one question, before we're going to jump into another topic, which is Altcoin, I want to ask you one classic question here. Is it too late to start investing in BTC, in your opinion?
I think it's never too late. We've never had the money if we can save in for 50 years, right? It's just the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah. What I've always advised people coming into BTC is that we've been conditioned to, confound savings and investing for the past 50 years. We can't separate or differentiate savings or investing. We think they're the same thing, because money loses value over time. We have to throw all of our money away into other assets. We have to buy real estate, we have to buy cars, we have to buy gold, we have to buy bonds, we have to buy stocks, we have to buy everything, but we have no idea what's what, right? We are not investors. Not all of us are investors. So we are forced into a world where everyone is forced to invest, and no one has the ability to save, right? So that's the world we live in. What Bitcoin does is it just brings back that other option. That other option that, it's also possible to just save, right? So if you're not an investor and you have no interest in becoming one, why not just save? If you're a baker, if you make pizza, if you sell coffee, just do what you love. Earn as much as you can. Save all the surplus money as Bitcoin, as hard money that cannot be debased. And you see your saving grows over time. You can start expanding your business, earning more money in the future. So that option that has been taken away for the past 50 years is now available to the common man, right? A lot of people think that Bitcoin has gone up a lot. How many people do you see on the street understand Bitcoin?
Oh my goodness, I don't think that's a lot.
It's basically non-existent,
Yeah.
right? I still don't talk Bitcoin to my friends, right? We go into meeting gatherings, and if I'm not asked about Bitcoin, I'm not going to talk about it. I'm not going to be like that nerd who just bores everyone out with fiat talk and Bitcoin talk.
Yeah.
We're still very early. You can go into the comment sections of videos about Bitcoin in mainstream media, and you notice that we are so early. A lot of people still doesn't understand Bitcoin. Only about less than 1% of the populations truly understand, right? I mean, maybe 5 to 10% invest or buy or dabbles in Bitcoin, but less than 1% actually understand the options it gives, right? So, is it early? I don't know. I mean, it's 2.2 trillion US dollars against what? The pool of the value of all the assets on earth, right? You have 300 trillion locked up in real estate. You have 500 trillion locked up in bonds and stocks. 20 trillion locked up in gold. What are those? What are those numbers? What are those values? Those are numbers of demands that people are using those assets as store value, as something they can save in. What Bitcoin does is it brings back money that you can use for saving, right? Money that can be used for saving will depreciate other forms of saving. Right? So it's going to suck up all of those energy, those those excess fat that has been pushed around into the systems back into money that can function as it's supposed to function. At the end of the day, what is the end game, right? I always ask myself when I go into something, right? When I look at Bitcoin, when I look at Altcoin, when I look at anything, I would always ask the question of what's the end game? What's the end game for Bitcoin? Bitcoin was supposed to be money. What is money? What is money? I mean, we were not going to go into like the history or anything, but money is something that can be exchanged for any goods or service, right? So the values of our asset, of our goods, of our service in a civilization, in a society, is going to be equal to the value of all the money in that society. Because money essentially doesn't have value in itself. Bitcoin doesn't have value in itself. It only has value as it can be converted into service, into goods, into other assets, right? So there's a saying that money is half of all economic calculations. And if you think that the total asset of the world right now is worth maybe like 800 trillion US dollars, then the other half of that is going to be Bitcoin. But at the end of the day, we have no idea what the number is going to be, because that number also keeps inflating over time. As we are measuring it with a failed money, we are measuring it with the dollars, which we are not supposed to do. So if anyone asks me what's the final price of Bitcoin, I think the final theoretical price, the highest that it can go is, well, we're not going to say the price of Bitcoin, but all the assets in the world, all the equities in the world, all the money in the world is going to be worth 21 million Bitcoin. So that's the end game, right? We have no idea if it's going to reach that state. We have no idea if that's possible. But we know that that's the theoretical limit, and that's like the goal that it strives to be. So if it falls a bit short, if it falls like 50% of that, 25% of that, how much is Bitcoin going to be worth? It's so early.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, that is such a great theoretical hypothesis. And so as we are talking about BTC, let's shift gears for a moment. So about altcoins. So lately there's been a little, can I say a little, drama about in the crypto space in Thailand on Facebook. And so many hardcore Bitcoiners have been kind of like calling altcoins as, I'm so sorry, shitcoins, and looking down on people who hold them. So what's your take on this? And do you agree with a Bitcoin maximalist wheel, or do you just think altcoins also have a place in the ecosystem?
A lot of people forgot that before I was a Bitcoiner, I was a trader, right? So I was an investor. I was in the market. I know my stuff, right? So I'm not against trading. I'm not against investing in any asset as long as you can do it. My point, I guess, is that as I was saying earlier, Bitcoin unlocks that third opportunity, that opportunity to save, right? So we have to ask ourselves, does everybody need to invest, right? Does 100% of our population need to be an investors? Investing is not easy. Investing is super hard. It's really, really hard. Only like 1-2% of investors actually comes out on top.
Yeah.
Maybe 5% at most. Do we need everyone to be an investor? We don't. But the current world forces people to become investors. Right? So with Bitcoin, it unlocks that options that says that you don't have to invest. You just do what you love and save. That's an option. But if you love investing, there's nothing wrong with investing. If you have the skill, then there's nothing wrong with going into the battlefield, right? What I'm saying is that for the common man, for common people, you don't have to go there if you don't want to. Right? It's not like the only way that you can get out of poverty. It's not the only way you can change your life, right?
Yeah.
it's amazing that just saving can change people's life. That's one thing. But the other thing is that if you think, like I said earlier, when I think of things, I would ask myself, where would it end? Where would the end game be, right? And where things begin. I do have problems with the proverbial shitcoins, but that's not because they are bad investment. Right? You can make profits from it. Yeah, you can, if you have the skill, you can profit from anything. Right? But what I have, it's more ideological, because we are fighting here. I guess what I feel is that Bitcoin is fighting a war here. It's trying to liberate people from fiat currencies, from the fiat system, where people are enslaved by the fact that their money is being corroded every second. In that sense, anything else is a distraction, right? It's a distraction. But I'm not saying that it should not exist. I've just sent a post up a few days ago, like, you still need manure in your fields, right?
Yeah.
So everything has its use. If there's only Bitcoin, it will probably be shut down by governments all around the world a long time ago. You talk to government officials, they still can't differentiate between altcoins and Bitcoin.
Yeah.
That may be a bad thing if you're trying to push for Bitcoin adoption. But that's actually a good thing, because you know that if they truly understand Bitcoin, they cannot let Bitcoin grow. And the fact that Bitcoin have been growing for the past 16 years is testament to the fact that they do not understand what it really is and what it really is capable of doing, right? So it's a distraction in both ways, if you think of it that way. It also distracts the enemies, and it also distracts normal people who are looking into these things and they still can't differentiate saving from investing, and they think that they have to go out and buy the riskiest asset just to be able to come out on top, and maybe losing it all. People say that I shouldn't be warning people because if you really want to get rich, then you have to buy all these altcoins. But if you look at the statistics, you know that in traditional market, 95% of traders loses money.
Yeah.
We have no statistics in the crypto market because no one is disclosing their customers' performance. But the fact that no one is disclosing their customer performance also telling that maybe it's not that different. Right? Binance is not disclosing their customer performance because maybe most of their customer loses money, and that's not bad. And that's not good for a business, right? If you look at numbers from all the DEX, the decentralized exchange, you even see that even if you're doing arbitrages, only a few comes out profitable. Most of them are eaten away by all the slippage. The fact that they can't get the fill at the money at the price that they want, and the efficiency drops. So that's still the fact. You send 100 people into the battlefield, only 5 comes out alive, and you keep sending them over and over again. Maybe it would be reasonable to think that you're sending people to their death. So personally, I'm not advocating anyone go trade these things. But if you say, you have a Jan M here, if you're a professional, if you have the skills, then by all means, right? You know how to do. You have your risk management system. You have everything in place, and by all means. But back to that question. As a distraction, one of the things that leads me to not wanting to hold any of these alternative coins is it comes down to the way it was created. I'm quite particular as to how things are intended. So if you understand the blockchain technology, there's a lot of limitations, right? For one, an asset on a certain blockchain cannot exist on another blockchain. That's like the fundamental facts, right? I started in 2017 where I read a lot of white paper of projects that want to bring all these coins together. And in your heart that technically that's impossible. That's impossible without a central party. That's impossible without an oracle. That's impossible without a bridge. So basically that's impossible. But they're saying that they can do it. Well, what happened is that they are asking money from people who doesn't understand that that's impossible. And these people, they are blockchain experts. They know what's impossible. They know what's possible, what's not possible.
Yeah.
They are asking the impossible, knowing that it cannot be done. That's a lie, right? That's just lying. That's just dishonesty. So a project that was created out of dishonesty, I don't think that's a good start at all, right? And under these projects, if you look further, you see all the allocations, all the pre-allocations of coin into investors, into angel investors, into the marketing teams. And if you think about the tokenomics of these projects, then you see all these conflicting, interest of all these different parties. If the coins goes up, it's going to benefit one party, but it's going to, adversely affect the other party.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make sense, right? And at the end of the day, a lot of these tokens doesn't have a need to have their own token, right? You might be proposing a platform that, say maybe you can buy and sell medical information and share medical information safely, then just do it. Just use the public key infrastructure to do it. If you want to buy and sell easily, then you have Bitcoin that you can use. You even have ETH that you can use, right? What's the point of having a token other than to get people to invest? But if you want to get people to invest in your token is going to become a security token, and that's going to be regulated by the SEC. And you don't want that. So you lie to people a bit more. You say that these are utility tokens, but they're not really utilities. So you see, a project that's based on lie just have to keep lying. And I don't know, I just don't feel comfortable holding these things when you really understand that every marketing pitch they're saying is complete bullshit. So that's where the name shitcoin comes from. Not all altcoins are shitcoins, mind you, right? There are altcoins that I consider not shit. Some that have no pre-mines, right? I've always said that I like Dogecoin. It's not born from a lie, it's just a meme. Coins like Litecoin, maybe, they have no pre-mines. There are a few projects here and there that are honest about what they're doing. Those are fine. But when you look at those projects, you also have to ask yourself, what's the end game of this project? Is it possible that what they want to achieve in the world can be achieved? Right? You see some, maybe it's not maybe it did not begin from lie. Maybe it just begins from ignorance. Maybe you want a system that people can, upload themselves and consult medical doctors in blockchain metaverse space. Maybe that sounds interesting. Maybe the person who wrote that paper doesn't even know what they're talking about. And when they start working on it, they'll know that, that just doesn't really make any sense, right? So yeah, that's what I would categorize as shitcoin in a nutshell. Like, they have no path to success that's viable, other than just asking people for money along the way by doing stunts in marketing. But there are some coins, as I said, that are not shitcoin. I'm not saying that all alternative coins are shit, but most of them are. And if you want to hold these coins for a long time, you really have to understand this. A lot of people cannot differentiate Bitcoin from all these other coins, and that's really dangerous, right? They think, okay, Bitcoin is good. Bitcoin is going to, bring power back to the people. It's going to separate money from state. So this other coin is going to do that too. No, it's not, right? This other coin, it's more like investing in a startup. It's more like investing in a friend's project. No, it's not going to change the world. It's not going to lower the influence of the Fed on the monetary system. It's not going to push us towards a flying car. It's not going to do that. So if you want to trade, if you want to speculate on it, fine. If you want to hold it for the long run, just ask yourself, really seriously, what is this thing trying to do? Is it honest? I think that's a good starting point.
Yeah, I love the way that you were saying so that I would say historically, a lot of people, as you guys has watching, we have seen a lot of projects that it's not, it's a fraud. Yeah, it's as you said, it's dishonest in such a way that you are saying so that the founder or the people that are creating it are not even understand the fundamental of it, of the way that it actually is, which is, oh my goodness, I love the way that you answered it. Yeah. So, okay, as we are talking about touch a little about the drama that has happened, so, okay, for this question here is going to be a little lighten up. So, outside of Bitcoin, do you hold anything other than BTC or other assets?
Actually, before Bitcoin, I invested quite a lot in gold and real estate. I still keep all those, right? As for real estate, it's mostly my family, my father, right? So we're staying in the real estate here. So yeah, real estate, gold and Bitcoin has been my most prominent investment over the years because, essentially, I've been taught since I was, a boy that money loses value over time. So do not save in money. Right? My father teaches me to save in assets. So what asset would work well as a store of value would be like the fundamental question. And that has historically been gold and real estate. But essentially nothing else. I mean, I do hold some stocks, some bonds maybe. Yeah, but those are like almost it's not a significant amount.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So most of my assets are in Bitcoin right now. Yeah.
And okay, this is the question that I just want to. There's only BTC in your portfolio? There's no alternative coins or anything?
I do have
Ethereum.
a small sum of money set aside just to have fun.
Oh.
But
yeah.
those are not investment. That's fun. That's like going into a casino. Right? I do have some Ethereum. I do have some Doge. I do have some Solana. But like it's totally non-significant.
Yeah.
I have it just so that I know if it's going up or down. I want to know if I'm right. I want to test my skills. But it's mostly just for fun. As I said, I'm not comfortable holding those assets over long terms.
Yeah.
Just because of their fundamental values, right? When you look at these projects, I mean, I actually like, if you talk about like fundamental values, I actually like Solana a lot because they never try to be virtuous. They never try to say like they want to change the world. They never try to be anything else other than like a shitcoin platform.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's honesty. I mean, it doesn't make it good.
Yeah.
It's just honest. Something like Ethereum is totally dishonest. They just keep shifting the narrative, trying to come up with ways to make themselves sound or seem valuable. But yeah, as something that a lot of people are holding, I'm holding that. I like Doge because it never tries to be anything other than a cute dog. So yeah, I value honesty a lot, I guess.
Oh my goodness, that is cute. Personally, I do not hold the Dogecoin. Yeah,
I mean, if you look at it, like you have something like a copycat, like Shiba, that tries to be a lot more. Yeah, it promised to be a lot more. I don't like that.
That is okay. That is fine.
I like when things are simple and honest.
Oh, so
But I mean, I used to trade a lot of alternative coins in the past. But lately, just about 2-3 years ago, I've shifted most of my trading strategies to focus on Bitcoin derivatives. So I'm mostly just using Bitcoin futures and Bitcoin options.
Oh, so mainly focuses on Bitcoin itself.
So the money that I set aside for trading is mostly just focused on Bitcoin.
Yeah. So this is actually really, really fun. Mind you, this is the first time that I kind of like, how can I say, have an interview with Ajahn Tam นะคะ Like this is the first time.
We've never even done it in Thai.
Yeah. And in English as well. So it was such a pleasure. It like really, really is. So thank you so much นะคะ Ajahn Tam for your time and insights for today. And it has been such a valuable conversation here. And before we go, don't forget to check out the page Right Shift.
Right Shift?
Of Ajahn Tam.
All the Bitcoin educational content. That's the main Bitcoin education company that I've started a few years back. So we focused on just getting people, getting mostly the sole focus of the company is to get as many Thai people to actually understand Bitcoin as possible before it's too late.
And this lovely coffee shop again, the name of it is
Citadel Coffee.
Yeah.
Out in Klong Ha, Rangsit.
Yeah, okay. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to like and subscribe and share it with your crypto friends. And that's a wrap for today. And see you guys in the next episode though. Bye guys.
Bye bye.